This podcast has been sponsored by Cambly, a platform where you can improve your spoken English. I'm going to talk more about that later in this podcast. Hello, everyone. This is Ashish. Welcome back to Momentum Podcast. Today, we are having Miss Sarah Jain with us. She has been my teacher way back, 3 years back, when I was in BARC Training School. Our paths intersected. We met over there. She was my teacher. Took 3 days, just 3 days course, but left an impact that has lasted so long. 3 years later, we are back over here. Should have brought her a long time ago, but finally did it. Let me introduce her a little bit. She's a former coach at Dale Carnegie. She has over 14 years of experience when it comes to training, personality development. So we have brought her over here because this is a very essential part of anyone's career. And that is what we are going to focus on, of how it will impact you to enhance and improve your career. And this is something that if you have it, every other skill gets multiplied by that fold of how good you are at it. Little bit of what she is doing right now: consultant of training in L&D. She is having over 30,000, some crazy number of how many hours she has spent training and teaching other people. She has worked with all the Fortune 500 companies. And I'll leave a little bit to you because I'm going to mess it up of all the places and all the companies, all the employees, all the people that you have trained. So please go ahead.
Well, thank you, Ashish. I think that was a lovely introduction. But yeah, picking up from there, it's been a very interesting journey of over the last 18 years that I've spent in corporate. And I would say largely, working with these different sectors that I've got this opportunity to do. So you go to a manufacturing setup that's different, the people, the culture, the way they're working, the objectives they're driving, and then you come to a whole new different world when you go into like a IT company or banking and finance for that matter. So I think I'm truly had the benefit of working across sectors and training, and also across levels of professionals. So be it the front or new joinees, where I've done a lot of campus to corporate work, which is from students, getting students ready for the job world, for interviews, for being able to crack that and further establish themselves as professionals in the world of business, to then a senior management as well. So yeah, well, that's what
Yeah.
I have been doing over the last 12 years to 12 to 14 years now in training. And I started out just as a intern, or you could say those were the days, and that was in
You started very young as well, right?
I started really young,
Mhm.
even before I actually was the age that you can work.
Mhm.
So
All
I
right.
think, yeah, so I always had that key. Let me start applying what I'm learning. So while I was
Hmm.
even doing my education, my graduation, I was throughout working in being a counselor at this IT institute. That's
Hmm,
where
hmm,
I
hmm.
actually started. And
All
then
right.
I
Yeah.
learned all the courses that they had, and I used to start to counsel students and their parents that would come. And
Hmm,
I
hmm,
think that really worked very well for me, because when you learn what you're learning, or when you're in education, you're learning ideas, concepts, and then you keep on applying them, because that is
hmm,
what makes your skill get developed.
hmm, hmm.
And yeah, from there I moved to telecom, and then insurance, and then into training, where I found
Hmm.
my passion.
All right. So, guys, let me just tell you that she's the best that you can get when it comes to teaching you how to improve your personality. Right now, you see me doing all these podcasts. 3 years ago, when I met her, I didn't even know how to make a proper eye contact, and that's what started it all. She taught me how to make proper eye contact. She taught me about voice modulation, and that is what I'm using for the past years. And not only that, she's having these decades of experience, but also the kind of person she is. She always try to have a contact with student and follow up way after the course is done. And that is what I learned with her, that actual result that you're going to produce, you're only going to see after months and years to come. And that is why I decided that let's have her on the podcast. What we are going to focus on today is we are going to focus on one-to-one interaction. A lot of people miss a lot of opportunities because of the hesitation that they have to start an interaction. It will be applicable if you are an undergraduate. It will be very much applicable if you're working as well, going for next job, climbing the ladder, or just starting up a new company. It will be applicable everywhere. In any case, it will be useful to you. So what do you want to start with majorly? That one-to-one interaction and how people are not understanding the benefits of it.
Yeah, I think, see, firstly, I think, in our society here in India, one of the challenges with, education system also is that some of the skills, which are the softer skills, aren't, imbibed very strongly across the board. So if you
Mm-hmm.
went to a certain school and you got exposure, then some students, some people have it, but others take so long to actually learn the value and importance and then learn how to do it.
Hmm.
So because of that, I think we far a kind of short sell or not recognize that how networking and opening your window to talking to more and more people can bring to you. What is that benefit that we can get? So if you
Hmm.
ask me, I mean, there are so many benefits, and across my career, what has actually helped me to not only grow myself, develop, and pursue my passion, but also other people has been my networking ability.
Hmm.
Everywhere I went, I made it a point to at least talk to 4 5 people. If I'm there
Hmm.
and there's a person sitting, why keep that silence, and
Hmm.
rather interact. And there's a little small pie of that other person's world that you firstly get to see. So one is
Yeah.
you always expand your thinking when you're meeting new people every time and talking to them. That's one, right? You expand your horizon of thinking, of also learning, and being more aware, world aware, being more aware of how people think, what drives them. The second one I think is very key, and that is these people that you might hit it off with tend to then
Hmm.
become your connections. You could also make some great friends, right?
Yes.
You can have all of those doors opening up for you. And I
Hmm.
want to close it off with opportunity, because you never
Hmm.
know how opportunity is going to knock at your door, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we just keep that closed, then we are not able to kind of even know what is on the other side. So keep the door
Yes.
open, and I think that's what we don't do, and then we don't never know the benefit at all in the future as well.
Yeah, certainly very, very beneficial. But I have been an introvert for the longest time, till at least I was 21 years old. I hated any kind of interaction with anyone. Later on, I found out what are the benefits of it, and I forced myself to learn that. So I can understand that side as well of why people don't go for those interaction, and why, because of that, they have this kind of shell throughout their life that they are not able to express at any point. They are afraid. You were only telling that day that we met in that clubhouse that the fear of having conversation in front of people is more than, what was it, fear of death or something? What did you say that day?
Yeah, I mean, that's about public speaking, that public speaking is a top fear that people experience
Yeah.
more than fear of death. This was a
Okay.
survey done very interestingly. You can actually look it up, which
Mm-hmm.
said that people would prefer that I either melt and, I just
Hmm.
vanish from here or die rather than address and talk to a
Hmm.
group and bunch of people, because
Yeah.
kind of causes a. So it's very interesting. Why is that such a big fear? And we all feel it. Ashish,
Hmm.
you've come a very long way. I want to ask
Hmm.
you that when you are addressing people, even today, after all these 3 4 years that you've really gone immersive, don't you still feel some amount of fear?
Certainly, it will be there, and I take it as a measure which prepares me for that situation, because it is not just an any ordinary situation that is there to help you, but people don't understand that.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
would like happily admit that after these 30,000 hours of training I've done over my career span,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is with multiple and diverse people, different
Hmm.
sectors of business, I still feel it. I still feel
Mm-hmm.
that here in coming across to new people, talking and expressing ideas. So we're getting at this fear that all human beings have for
Yeah.
doing something new.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
let's be real, and let's accept it. Like we accept that gravity exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gravity, whether we're good,
Yeah.
we're bad people, it's going to
Yeah.
have the same effect. In the same
Yes.
way, let's accept at the onset that there will be fear. Fear is there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that could be as gripping as stopping you from doing something that's really valuable as well.
Yeah. So, guys, now that you know about the importance of spoken English and the confidence in general, the importance of networking, you must be wondering about how to improve. Yes, just stating the problem is easy, giving the solution is the one part that really matters. Don't you worry, this podcast is stuffed and brimming with all the solutions that you're looking for and also practical solutions, things that has worked in my life, things that has worked in thousands of people who have found it very useful and has found success because of it. Coming up on this podcast, solution to fear of interaction and networking, how to build self-confidence, the kind of question to ask to a person who you are meeting for the first time, and a lot of things which will be helping you to network more and increase your confidence. But before that, let us talk about something else that will help your confidence and spoken English. That is the sponsor of today's podcast, that is Camly. This is a platform which will help you talk to a lot of people on a regular basis, but not only random people. You can get it on any other app. These are people who are experienced in training other people to improve confidence, to improve their fluency. These are people who have, some of them has actually spent decades in this industry training people how to improve their confidence. I'm going to share two of my conversations so that you get an idea yourself of how good a platform this is and how simple it is to talk to people and improve your confidence.
Yeah, and there are specific ways that you can help yourself to reduce the tension so you can get out of a stutter. Like if someone has severe stuttering and they're like,
I get
and they
it.
can't stop, there's ways to get out of it. But yeah, I wouldn't say most people like can get rid of it entirely if they have it past 5 years old.
But all people can get better in dealing with it,
Of
right?
course.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I am a podcaster basically. I used to be a scientist in Indian Space Research Organization until but I left it pretty young, till January of 2020. I left it at the age of 25 years of age, and after that, I decided to just do freelancing. So I had built a level of recognition that I could do that, and mainly I'm writing a book. So maybe someday you'll be reading that.
So what are you going to write a book on?
It is basically my journey in. So I guess that gives you a clear picture of what this app is all about. I think that it is vividly clear that it is going to help you a lot improving your confidence and speaking skills. Now I know that I've kept you waiting awfully long, but thank you for your patient ears knowing more about the app. If you go over there, use the discount code, get the discount, but at the same time you'll be supporting the channel as well. Now let us get back to the podcast with Sarah Jane. I want to bring the story of the first interaction I had with Sarah. Is that after she took somewhere around 2 to 3 hours of the session of the first day, she made me stand at one point during the first session only. And I still remember the question as well. You might have forgotten. The question from your side is that, do you know of any man who said what he is going to do and exactly did that? And this was something where everyone actually shut it down. Nobody was answering. But I thought that in the crowd, I'm going to answer this over there as well. And I said Conor McGregor. And that's when I found out that nobody else actually said anything. And my voice was in spotlight. And you told me that, please stand up and say the same thing. And I tried to explain, but I completely blanked out. I do not know what I said. In my head, everything was shaking from left to right. And whatever I completed, and I sat down. And that's where, after that session, I came to you and I said that this is what I felt and I never want to feel that again. What is the solution? And that's when you said that I had the same thing this morning when I was addressing you. And the thing that most people feel that, but nobody actually accepts that is the real problem. That then you are afraid of some ghost kind of thing that you think is only available for you. That is the problem, right?
Yep. Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there are multiple, if you go a little more deeper, I mean, it's fear of judgment, right? What are
Yes.
people thinking about me? You know, if I say this and if it's not really impressive, then what happens? Will I lose people? You know, will I have acceptance? It's fear of acceptance also. which is many a times when we go to new people, and we were talking about how networking or talking to strangers as well. So, for example, you walked into an organization where you're doing an interview and there are other fellow candidates, but we don't talk to them, right? And we are like, "ठीक है, तुम अपना देखो, I'm doing my own thing and whatever," right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you just think of it, what is it? Why are you not doing it? And maybe that would make you feel better, and the other person, you'll feel a little more confident if you still talk, and you can also get some tips, inputs. You never know
yeah,
what can come, right? In that case, is acceptance. There's a fear of
yeah.
acceptance we have also. The other person reject and act like, who are you and why are you trying to talk to me?
Hmm.
So those things are kind of, those crutches, or sorry, the barriers which stop us from actually
Hmm.
going ahead and
Yeah.
communicating.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
most visible thing which you can see everywhere is that very small fraction of people who actually overcome this fear, and those people who try to invest time to overcome this, they skyrocket in their career. They go very far and they go very fast as well, and you can see it with your own eyes that this person was here 1 year ago and then now he is over here and I'm kind of on a same space, just
Mm.
because this person is not afraid of interaction, not afraid of conversations, builds a lot of contact. And humans, we are part of a community. None of us can live alone, which makes communication kind of the most important thing. I left rocket science to start training people when it comes to
Yeah,
communication skill for a reason, because I find this to be the most valuable thing in this world and is applicable for everyone. Right? All right.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Sure. And
Yeah.
your story is very interesting, which endorses that. I mean, let's be real. I think that is because we all have a lot of knowledge within us. There's knowledge,
Yeah.
there's understanding and insight that we can bring to the table. But we end up not doing that. Why? Because of the vehicle in between, which is being able to communicate and break these barriers and go ahead and say what we have to, right? So I think
Yes.
you're doing a great job, Ashish. I really admire how you've picked it up and taken it forward.
Well,
It's
thank
wonderful.
you. I try, but
Mm.
I used to send you the most earliest of my videos. Do you remember? I
Yes.
always took feedback from her. Even last time we talked, I sent her the most recent podcast and I asked her, "Do
Mhm.
you think that I have improved? What do I need to improve upon even further?" And that is the thing that makes her very special and unique. The reason that she keeps on guiding way after she needs to. It's as simple as that. But I now understand why you do that, because the change that you create is much more valuable than anything else. And when you see your students actually changing and their lives changing, that is very, very valuable, right? Okay. Now
Absolutely.
let us, we have very much solidified the importance of all of this. Most people who are still listening, they understand. Now let us get to the solution part. Like I was
Mm.
saying, that there are a lot of people who are introvert, they're terrified of this. We have established that as well. And they just don't want to start an interaction because we don't have a lot of people who appreciate the people who takes action. And this world is a brutal place when it comes to that. And what I have found from my surveys and all, that 80% of the population most of the time are actually introverts. They don't want to get into conversation. There's a very small fraction of people who just are okay with it, okay with talking in front of new people. So you've been training for so long, I'm sure that you have an answer for that. So how can that kind of person change into a person who is very confident in talking?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right with the numbers. And so I think you can just break this down into three things, I think, which can make that change happen. And I think the first reason why we are not doing it and people don't do it is because they don't know possibly how to go about it.
Hmm.
Which is like, Ashish is sitting next to me. So I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, hi.
Hmm.
Ashish like, hi, what's
Hmm.
your name? Yeah, yeah, I'm Ashish, I'm Sarah. Okay. But what next? After that, where do I take this conversation and how do I go about it is something that just stops it there, right? It brings a impasse. So one of the top reason is how to go about having conversations with people and not
All
knowing
right.
how to do it, which doesn't let you do it.
Hmm.
Second is the confidence is not there. That fear
Yeah.
and hesitation is
Hmm.
present, which we spoke about, right?
All right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and the third one, of course, is that we've not had success of it in the past. So when we don't have success or experience, then we don't know that we
Hmm.
can actually do it. Again, a kind of correlated, but yes, these are the
Yeah.
three from my side. So you know that the number one is we don't know how to go about it, right? And
Yeah.
we, I think,
Yeah.
should talk about
Hmm.
how to start off a conversation. And I think I could share tips because even in my professional circuits, I am known for being someone who's a networker, you know. So
Hmm.
if I go to a conference, I'll end up talking to 20, 25 people.
Oh,
If
I
I have a
know that very
meaningful,
well. Yeah. You are that kind of person. Yeah.
yeah, and you won't believe today I'm in business with people who I met like this. So, you know, I
Hmm.
went to this program, which was the Harvekers program. Right now, my main business partner is someone who I met
Hmm.
there. She was
Hmm.
not someone I knew at all, but because I have this eye to also spot people and go across and talk to them. And they are also
Hmm.
like pretty stumped that, okay, someone's come to talk to me on their own,
Hmm.
not even that they were next to me, etc. So
Hmm.
here's what I will break down for you as tips, which is firstly, understanding that doing it has far more benefits. So that's intention. We can do
Hmm.
something only when we want to, and we see why we should be doing that. So
Hmm.
if there's a conference, if there's a place, and you know you must be talking to at least 3, 4 people, get a sense who's around. Maybe make a friend. If you're in a party, talk to people. Yeah, बातें
Hmm.
करो तो फिर कुछ दोस्ती बनेगी, right?
Yeah.
First part is that, and now
Hmm.
where when it comes to how to start, which is the
Hmm.
main part, right? Breaking the ice. Here's what uh, I do the most, and I think it works brilliantly, is to just start with comment about where you are, the environment, the place you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you
Hmm.
say?
So
So
let
you
us say
just,
that we are in a
yeah,
party, all right,
yeah,
just sipping Coke or something like that. Very
yeah,
decent kind of party. So, how do you start? Like, how's the ambience and all like that?
yeah. Or you could talk about, oh, this is a fun party, as simple as that.
Yeah.
And just look at the person and be like, hey, I think
Yeah.
this is so fun, and I just got here after a
Instead
really
of
busy week.
directly plunging into like where you're
Yeah.
from and all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then, you'll get eyes like this. Ki, why did you
Hitting on
want to
me?
know where I'm from? Yeah, yeah, exactly. And especially if it's the opposite gender, you want to be really
Yeah.
careful that you go up to
Yeah.
a woman and then you ask her, hey, what's your name? She'll be
Hmm.
like, who are you? And why
Hmm.
should I, engage with you? So, of course, there's a way of how to go about it. And I think the first best way is wherever you are. So, if I'm at the airport also, and I've made, again, a lot of connections with CEOs of
Hmm.
companies, just
Hmm.
because they were surely sitting next to me.
Yeah.
So is because talk about the day, talk about the weather, talk about
Hmm.
current affairs like news, what's happening. So if it's a moment
Correct.
where
Hmm.
something interesting on cricket is going on, you need to have that sense of where you want to start from. Yeah. And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
two things. It's sharing and asking. While
Yeah.
people only ask and
Hmm.
say, tell me about you and acha aap kahan se ho, and it suddenly starts sounding like you're digging out information
Yes.
about this other person.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what I
That is
mean?
so
So
correct. Yeah.
yeah. So here you go. So in the party you started by that, and then you can smile, and it's really important how your body language is.
Hmm.
If you have that smile on your face and you're looking at the person, it just is pleasant. You have to be pleasant, right? When you're starting out to talk with somebody. That's important.
Hmm.
And if you're saying,
Yeah.
well, there's a fun party, it should look like you're having fun. And
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
that, you're like, hey, so yeah, it's a fun party, and I'm the host, a very close friend, or
Hmm.
I've just got to know him or her just recently. How about
Hmm.
you? That could be a
Yeah.
good start, yeah. And
Yeah.
and then move into, my name is so and so, and how about you? Nice to meet you. Shake a
Yes.
hand,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and by
Don't shake
then
a
you
hand in
get a
COVID though.
sense. Yeah, but
Yeah.
also by then you start to get a sense of whether this person is really interested or not.
Hmm.
Sometimes
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
would just, and the body
Walk away
language is
then.
a,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's a giveaway. So if you're seeing, and if you are also enjoying the content, not
Hmm.
necessarily jabardasti thodi hai ki you have to talk,
Hmm.
but
Yes.
if you
And
see that,
also,
hmm,
I think the more you do, the better you get at it, right? You also got so good after doing so much, right? So
sure,
initially it will be
absolutely,
super difficult, but you understand what works, what doesn't. Like, yeah, a person can tell you, okay, this situation you can do this, that situation you can do that, but until unless you do and find your own comfort, it won't work for you, right? Yeah. And you were saying, sorry to interrupt though.
Yeah, so I was saying that that's how you see when you do it, you get to know how it's working, right? The
Mm-hmm.
response of the other person in the body language is going to show you whether they're really interested or not. But if they were
Yeah.
enjoying their coke so much to like almost give you a look, then you know that, okay,
Yeah. I should
yeah,
have
good
that
party
coke as
has,
well.
yeah, and just and you should be okay with some amount of
Hmm.
disinterest coming from the other side.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
fine. Where the other person is again takes a sip, so you know, acha, so you can always say, hey, have fun, enjoy, and see you around. Just move out from there.
All
But
right.
yeah, so a key sense is how you are also observing, and are you coming with a genuineness over there? It's very important that we have to be genuine in our intention. Why are
Yeah.
you actually coming and talking to people? Yeah.
Coming to the point that some people just might not be interested, it might also be possible that some people get terrified from that as well, because there's a huge chance that you meet a person who is not comfortable to talking someone new. In that, you have to first understand that, and the second thing would be that you have to make that person comfortable as well, and that's where
Yes.
your part, like your smile and all, comes into the picture. Like nobody wants to talk to a stern face, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, and a very good point you made there, because what happens is there is a tense energy between two new people, right? You
Hmm.
don't know where this is going. Why are we even talking? Who is he or
Yeah.
she? So a lot of questions in your mind are coming, and that's the job of the mind, right? It starts to alert you about things that, oh,
Yeah.
there's a new person who's come. So you need to push more energy at that time.
Hmm.
You when you're starting the conversation, you really need to have more energy than the other person, so that
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
bounces off to them and they feel comfortable and welcome and nice, not
Yeah.
over the top so much, but I think
Hmm.
it's just little more than we
Hmm.
normally would be talking. Yeah, so energy is
All right.
important, the smile is important.
All right. That was a very crystal clear roadmap to how you can start a conversation. The second point that you mentioned, that is confidence. How do we work about that?
So, about confidence, and at Dale Carnegie, there's so much we do around building self-confidence. So here's the
Mm-hmm.
question for you. How do we develop confidence about anything? And is there that I can go and take 2 lakh units of confidence and have a bag full of it and store it with me? The answer
So,
is no, right?
no. Yeah. And how you go about it, it is my guess, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you have to do more of that, right? That is how we become confident at anything. Am I correct? That is the answer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Anyone will tell you, learn more about it.
Hmm.
So definitely you need to go more deeper, right? Like
Hmm.
at Dale Carnegie, this is a course on, it's part of a course where you learn the entire technique of how to start, where
Hmm.
to, how to take it forward. What are the
Hmm.
ways you can understand the other person,
Hmm.
building common ground. That's the learning part, which we all must keep doing. Like you
Yeah.
should read, you should, find your ways, that there are so many resources available, and then you keep practicing that, which is going
Hmm.
to places like Clubhouse. Go to Clubhouse, talk to people, make a friend
Hmm.
or two.
Yeah,
Next time
that
you
is
go
great.
and you're on a bus stop, try it in the less risky places first, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Obviously, that is
Yeah,
something very important, especially
best
in India,
way.
right? Yeah. If
Best way. Arey, bus late ho gaya, and start talking with the other person, or
yeah,
train late
yeah.
ho gaya, whatever. So you need to keep on doing that, and you will slowly see how your confidence for the day will come by speaking. It's
Yeah.
Ashish, and mark my words. What I'm saying is,
Hmm.
just pushing your comfort zone on a day-to-day basis increases your confidence.
Yes,
It's
yes,
like
it
that.
does. Yeah. Hmm.
Otherwise, we remain in our shell and then we are suddenly pushed. We cannot actually go and talk to someone, can we? We
Hmm.
will not be
Yeah,
able to.
yeah.
If we every day do a little bit, little bit, little bit, and that's why I say you can't take confidence. It's not like a one commodity which you can have with you and store it and keep it. It's something you
Hmm.
need to gain every day. So do
Yeah.
something new every day. Do something towards this skill that you're developing by
Hmm.
talking to at least 2 new people every day. Make it a point in the early
Hmm.
days to build this up. Make it a
Yeah.
point that also the students in my college who I don't like, who I don't
Hmm.
know, till now I have
Yeah.
not interacted with them, a junior, I will go
Hmm.
and have a conversation. Let's see how it
Yeah.
goes.
I think that is one of the tasks that you gave. You remember it back in Dale Carnegie, that you talk to one person you have not talked so far and come back tomorrow. That was one of the tasks that you gave. and everybody talked to that one person in their class who they had
Yes.
never had a conversation after 8 months of being in the same place, right? But they
Just
still
imagine.
did. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they did
That is
it.
very correct. Like I look back in my college, there were 120 people. There were at least 40 to 50 people I never talked to. And I lived 4 years with those people. That is so stupid because you could have known more people, more networking, more friends, better time in
Exactly.
general.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So your friends will be your networks, but that would be alumni who you should know. And tomorrow you just meet them somewhere. It shouldn't be like, oh, this is that guy who never spoke to me, or we never spoke to each other. It should
And now
be
he's
like you have
speaking, there
a,
must be some business going on, like he needs me or something. If you talk to
yeah.
those, yeah. All
And then
right.
it's sad, right? कि आज मतलब है तो we are talking, but जब time
Hmm.
था we never spoke. So I think it goes a
Yeah.
long way in really broadening your horizon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Confidence is such a vast topic, and there's no single way to approach it. Like it is in everything. Everything that you do that pushes your boundary gives you more confidence. Do things that you're afraid of.
sure.
That will do. There's a part of confidence that you included in the third point, that is if you have had some success with that. So obviously if you have had some achievement, then you will be more confident about that, and that is why a lot of people hunt for achievement. That is good, but some of the confidence has to be self-induced as well. What do you say to that?
Yes.
Like you have
It
to
has to
push
be
yourself.
an intentional plan where we push ourselves to develop confidence. And confidence is something on a daily basis. We need to do something, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
do something
Mm-hmm.
new, talk to new people, or I'm
Yeah.
going to, this is my kind of commitment to myself that
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to develop myself on this area. So, confidence, whenever we do
Mm-hmm.
something we fear the most, our confidence goes very high because it's a
Mm-hmm.
defining moment. Like Ashish,
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask you, when you always knew I'll speak well, I like to speak, but when the time came when you actually had that eye contact moment and you did that, you realized something more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you
Mm-hmm.
realized something more, how did it make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel? How did you feel? I want to ask you.
When I made eye contact with so many people like that, so the first thing that I realized is that this is something I don't know the reason of exactly, but it is making me super nervous. Later, what I
Yeah.
found out was that there are so many people observing you. It does
Mm,
not really happen every day, right? And
mm,
because of that, it is kind of like in our genetics that we are going to get that feeling. I will not always say that it is fear, but we'll get that feeling every time we talk in front of other people or talk to someone new. A lot of people have this
yeah.
problem of making eye contact with someone new as well. They just have the fear, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when we are able to do something, when you were
Hmm.
able to do it, and you were really struggling, right? You were
Yeah.
like, why should I look? You were questioning it. You were like, it's
Hmm.
fine. I will look at the top, and that is cool, right? But then
Hmm.
you did it, and then you did it, and then you saw value. And now, when you've reached the stage where you're able to do it, you
Yeah.
feel more confident.
Obviously. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It feels better in general in every domain that I'm not being bounded or hindered because of this aspect of my life, which anyone can work on. It is not dependent of your height, not dependent of your weight, not dependent on where you were born. You can just
Yes.
develop this. Anyone can develop this, and there are a lot of talents that anyone can't. Let us say you are a very good writer, you are a very good singer, but you cannot market it out. You cannot make it reach other people because you are hindered by this part. So I know that if I write a book, I'm going to be able to market it out. I know that if I make a podcast, I'll be able to make it reach other people. If I make a course, other people will be knowing about that because I'm my own face. That is the
Yes.
value that I've gotten because of doing things that I was afraid to do. Right?
Right. So we are
Yeah.
summing up it is doing and doing over a period of time, which increases your self-belief and therefore
Mm-hmm.
self-confidence, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
so I think coming back to our topic, which is to be able to speak to more and more people, you need to put
Mm-hmm.
yourself on a plan, which is let me give myself this whole month to focus on this skill set. Let me develop it on my
Mm-hmm.
own by engaging in more and more conversations, reading, etc. And from my perspective, I'd like to give, some more tips, which is uh, when you're talking, you can't just be surface level, right? Which is now you started to talk. After a while, I asked Ashish some information questions. There's a first type of questions we ask each other.
Mm-hmm.
कहाँ रहते हो? Where are you from? What are you doing? What's your name? Who are in your family? These are all just gathering information questions. The first type
Yeah.
of the most common questions we ask. But this is like, I know the person, I know Ashish, but I don't really know him, right? I just
Hmm.
know him as in uska biodata,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
top level. That's like
Yeah.
scratching the surface.
Hmm.
When you're talking, if we want to really establish connect and you want to really get to know what is a common ground between you and them, and the real time when you actually say, yeah, is this person and I have so much in common, will happen when you ask further set of type of questions. So here's the technique I'm going to give you is uh,
Yeah.
when you want to know people's core, and this is from a psychology perspective, right? That there's information, but beyond that, you want to ask them why based question. Why? For example, Ashish, so if I'm having a conversation with you, and let's say we don't know each other, right? And I hear from you top level information. So now I'm a speaker, I'm a YouTuber, I do this. And I come from a background where I was a scientific officer, right? I was a scientist at ISRO.
Hmm.
And if I'm keenly listening to you, I should ask you this question that very interesting, Ashish. So what made you move from
Hmm.
ISRO, leave that, give that up and do what you're doing today? I would really want
Hmm.
to know that. Now,
Yeah.
by asking, we'll of course, I think many people know the answer to that. I know the answer, Ashish, to
Hmm.
why you did it. But here's what happens when I asked a why question.
Hmm.
You are going to answer about your passions. You're going to answer something which is very core to you, what you believe
Yes.
in,
Yeah.
right? And in that, now the conversation went to an elevated level where
Hmm.
you're really engaging in more meaningful stuff than just knowing people's hobbies, interests, but why they're doing what they're doing. So the
Hmm.
second way, the first type of question, as I established, is like asking information questions. Second type of questions are asking why questions. So for example, why did you move from this city to here? Asking
Hmm.
as something as simple as that. Why
Yeah.
this engineering college and not that one?
Yeah.
Any reason
Hmm.
why you did that? And keep it pleasant, but ask the why questions, and you'll get to see. They might tell you a story. They might say that, well, my parents were after me, and they might share more with you. And when sharing
Hmm.
happens, then common links start begin to happen a lot more. You really
Yeah.
understand people at a deeper level. At Dale
Hmm.
Carnegie, we would call it like inner view,
Hmm.
getting an inner view of the other person.
All right. Hmm.
And there's a third one, and there's a third type of question. These questions are more to understand what are values and beliefs that drive this other person.
Hmm.
So asking questions like, okay, so if you had to tell someone who's starting out in BARC, Ashish,
Hmm. Hmm.
what would your advice be to this
Hmm.
young student?
All right.
So
Yeah. So what does
again, you
that
want to
bring
answer
up?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you answer? Let's see. What would you answer?
I will say that it is going to be a 1 year journey in nuclear science and engineering, and it is a great place where a lot of scientists are going to teach you. It is going to be a great boost to your technical profile and a lot of interesting things you're going to learn over there. Be
Hmm.
careful about the competition that goes on over there because that takes out the best of most people, and because of that, a lot of people don't really focus towards technical learning and are very busy in competition. But what I will say is that if you just eliminate that part, this is a beautiful place to learn.
Wow, yeah. Well, I
Hmm.
see that. So now you heard your answer, I mean,
Hmm.
when you hear the answer, it tells us a lot about Ashish, right? We come to know
Hmm.
about what Ashish kind of is oriented about, what are his ways of seeing things,
Hmm.
etc., etc., right? Like if I
Yeah.
ask you a question, Ashish, what was a moment in your life that changed your life, or it was a defining moment of your life,
Hmm. Yeah.
which makes
Hmm.
you who you are today? Any
Yeah.
such
Yeah.
event you'd like to share with me? Because I'm trying to understand Ashish more, and I know some of us might think as a question, how can you ask? But
This is a
if
deep level
you,
question after you
there's a
have
deep
been in
level after
conversation. Yeah. Hmm.
exactly, and
Yeah.
and that is that, and you have to always use connectors, right? When I say that, Ashish, you have a really interesting story that's almost inspiring me already. Would you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
share with me that what changed it? So Actually, there you go. What would your answer be to that question?
When I was 16 years old, I decided to rejoin a martial arts class, which I left back when I was just 8 years old. And from that point, I saw rapid growth in my confidence, and that gave me a confidence that I can achieve anything that I want to. So it all really starts from that martial art dojo. That gave me confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And I
Yeah.
mean, I can imagine when you
Hmm.
leave something and go back to it
Hmm.
takes a lot, right? And then when
Yes.
you do that and you come to know something about yourself, it's a self-discovery. So this is
Hmm.
my response in the conversation if we were
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
it. But what it tells us about you, Ashish, is you're someone who is someone who decides. If you decide something, you're quite determined, right? If you go
Hmm.
back, you can pick up
Hmm.
something, do it, take it to the end, kind of a go-getter, right?
Hmm.
Yes, am I right?
Hmm.
So here
Yes.
are
Right.
ways that we understand people more, and when you want to work with people in the long run,
Hmm.
like in your job, you
Hmm.
want to know their value system so that you can just be a lot more collaborative with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, all these things help you to touch base the second time. Now, when I meet
Hmm.
Ashish the next time, I have so much context to saying hello to him. And
How's that
in
going
fact,
on and all?
how's
Yeah.
it going on? Yeah, your martial arts, what's going on
Hmm.
with that? How are you doing?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it gives you those pegs in your mind, and that also makes Ashish feel that Sarah is genuine. She's really someone I should keep as my
Yes.
friend, right? She's
Yeah. Yeah.
interested in my life. She's
Yeah.
interested in who I am and my passions. Every human being loves it. We love ourselves and we
Yeah.
love what we actually engage in. And that is
Hmm.
our, so in Dale Carnegie's book, he wrote there was a part which is so interesting, in which he emphasizes listening, that
Hmm.
if you go to a party and you want to network, just listen to stories of 10
Yes.
people, and by the
Yeah.
end
Yeah.
of it they will all be your friends. Why? Because
Yes.
people love to share, and when you get them to share and give them that comfort that they can feel like sharing, then they can speak more and more and more. So yeah, interesting that we saw these three type of questions. Is that a good technique that you can actually take back and use? Everyone listening can practice that and see.
Perfect. Very, very insightful actually. I'm right now sitting as a student as well. I'm learning a lot of things from you, and I'm certainly myself going to apply it. It's going to be very, very useful. One thing that I was getting at that you brought yourself is that listening. Very, very important. Most people are all the time thinking what I'm going to say next. Me. Listen to the other person. It is very important. That is where you are going to derive the next subsequent conversation with. The second part,
Absolutely.
yeah, and the second
Yes,
part is that when you ask questions to others, it makes them feel important. Everyone wants to feel important, just like you. And that brings a soft corner. Works psychologically, right?
sure. It
Yeah.
does. And I think being a great conversationalist is
Hmm.
literally 70% listening,
Hmm.
not
Yes.
speaking. We
Hmm. Yeah.
oftentimes mistake it thinking that, "Boy, I have to speak a lot, I have to speak a lot."
Hmm.
Rather, actually, you have to take the position of a listener and a navigator, like
Hmm.
navigate through the conversation, wherever, share a little bit about yourself
Hmm.
and allow
Yeah.
the other person to share about themselves,
Yeah. Yeah. And
right? And
also,
yeah,
it makes the conversation very easy as well. A lot of times you might be wondering what to talk about. I do not know what to say next. If you just listen, you'll naturally get a lot of things that you can say over there, right? So it
absolutely.
helps also.
And
Hmm.
it helps a lot. And
Hmm.
I often use this analogy that listening to the other person is almost like in a rummy game, like a
Hmm.
card game. You get to see their cards, right? You
Hmm.
get to see
Yeah.
the cards that they're holding.
Yeah.
And if you can see the card someone is holding, you have an edge in the game, isn't it? Which is
Yeah.
simply that as a listener, you are able to navigate better, you're able to build a better relationship, you're able to, build more trust with other people also. One very
Yeah.
important factor is trust. If people are not able to trust you, they're not going to converse with you or develop that relationship or take it forward. You need to
Hmm.
establish credibility and trust very quickly. And people
Hmm.
who are able to get that faster, they build lot many stronger, solid connections. That's
Hmm.
what I believe. Yeah.
All right. So let's get next to the response narratives that you were talking about. Basically, we are going to continue the same discussion.
Yeah. So like along with listening, and if you were noticing me while I'm doing little bit of examples in between, while Ashish is speaking, I'm nodding, right? This is really important that when the other person's talking, we show that we're listening and not only say, haha, I'm listening, but with your body language, it doesn't appear like we're listening. So we want to
Mhm.
be giving them the eye contact while we are speaking with a
Mhm.
slight smile. Be fully tuned in. Keep your listening on and show that you're listening by non-verbal nods. These are
Mhm.
non-verbal nods, like uh-huh, like how you're
Yeah.
doing. Uh-huh, really?
Mm.
Oh, nice. So when Ashi is talking about, I was in first I was in Kalpakam, then I went to Bangalore, and he's telling his whole story. So I can't be like just blah and blank looking at him, right?
That's cool.
So I got to participate in that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
laughing and telling me the story, and I have to be like, oh, really? That sounds cool now. How did that
yeah.
happen? So
Mhm.
in between, you need to be participative, not that Ashish is giving a monologue and you're just like,
Yeah.
so these are called here. Here's what you can do is using things like, uh-huh, oh,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Really? That's
Mhm.
cool. How
Mhm.
did that happen? Sometimes they're kind of also not being able to speak. Okay, here's see, everyone's not a fine communicator, right? On the other
Yeah,
side. So
yeah.
helping them to also move towards things you would want to know, and that is showing genuine interest. You have to show
Mhm.
genuine interest in the other person. So if they are
Mhm.
talking about, um, I started martial arts, and so you are not being able to capture the story correctly, which Ashish is wanting to tell. So immediately you can ask a question right there saying, oh, so when was this? Ashish, well,
Mhm.
this was in the year 2015. That's when it happened. So now
Yeah,
that makes them feel that you're really wanting to listen. You are
yeah,
listening.
yeah.
And then you say, tell me, then what happened? So then
Mhm.
Ashish will continue telling his story, and
Mhm.
you are also capturing all parts of it. So here's the technique. It's called that 5W1H question set, right? Which is
Mhm.
5 wives and 1 husband. Kind
All
of
right.
funny, but good way to
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
So
what is it all about? Mm.
whenever you're talking and someone's sharing with you, show interest by asking questions like when, where. So where was this? Which city? So now you can picturize more, right? When Ashish is telling that martial arts story which changed his life, you want to
Mhm.
know when it happened, where it happened, who all were
Okay.
involved, right?
Mhm.
Who was involved? Okay, then you want to see the when, the 5 W's, right? So
What?
when, where, what, huh? If the
How?
what part is what
Yeah,
happened. So
yeah.
about martial arts, which type of martial arts are you really talking about? So what?
Which?
And then
Which?
why? Then
Yeah,
why? Yeah,
yeah,
why?
yeah. And then how?
Which is if there is an okay, if there is a need, you don't have to,
Yeah,
be like
obviously. Stick to it.
robotic about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
how did that turn around actually? How did that really happen for you? Share
Mm-hmm.
with me, And, everyone, folks, I want to tell you that taking interest is where the other person gives you value, right? You really
Mm-hmm.
find inspiration points, you find
Mm-hmm.
aspects. So the why question, again, we know why is to a deeper level question, if required, wherever
Mm-hmm.
required. And then how, which is the H question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now you got this set. Okay, this set can employ as a response generator, as to get to know more, to help them speak more, to navigate the conversation in a direction. Either ways, you can use that,
Mm-hmm. And by the way,
set
this
of
works
questions.
everywhere. Like you find a person, I'm a maths teacher. You can ask the same kind of questions over there as well, right? It works
Absolutely,
everywhere. It's a
it's a
person's
generic.
life. Yeah, everyone's life is kind of like a story. To them, it is the most important thing. You want to start a conversation, it goes like this, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. So
very
I give you
simple.
two sets of questions actually. The earlier one was those information questions, the why question,
Yeah.
and the values question, value beliefs questions, to go more
Mm-hmm.
deeper and understand and build a relationship. If you're looking at building a relationship, you need that. And here's
Mm-hmm.
what you can use as, kind of probes in between to make that conversation interesting and to, like you said, also,
Mm.
to understand and navigate it.
Yeah.
One more thing from my side is before we do all this, and maybe we're not going in a very chronological order right now, but
Mm.
is to tune in.
Mm.
Many a times the big mistake happens, and I've observed it with people I've been in conversation with, is they're half here and half somewhere else,
Yeah.
physically present there, trying to listen, half-hearted, then thinking next question, or mind is traveling somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've actually seen this with a lot of interviewers also. So I've given interviews as well, right? So what interviewer is thinking, they are not listening. They have a list of question. Okay, all right, then this and then this. They're just worried about what is the next question, and they're never actually listening. So people who are doing this professionally also, they are not really paying attention towards this, the listening part.
yes,
And only then the conversation is going to be natural, kind of having a flow, right? Otherwise it is going to look like you are having an agenda like that, right?
sure.
Hmm.
So yeah, you want to look at the person, you want to listen to them, and then you want to navigate. And I would also say that get to personal questions a little later on, which is
Hmm.
try to talk from, like we said, current and general, which is the environment, then getting into talking possibly about context like work, professional stuff,
Hmm.
like because you can't start asking Ashish, who I just met like a minute back, that what's your ambition in life? What's your vision in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah.
He'd be like, yeah, ये interview ले रहे हो कुछ? Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't
Hmm.
be like an interrogation, which is like
Hmm.
one after the other.
Yes.
So, Ashish, where are you from? Where do you live? Who all are there in your family? Acha, how nice. When did you go there? So, you're constantly asking questions. Yeah, what
Hmm.
you want to do is balance
Yeah.
it out, and you want to move from really like some professional education or work related topics, then maybe a hobby, ask about hobbies or traveling, those kind of things. Like, do you like traveling? Do you like hobbies? What are your hobbies? How do you like to spend your free time? Are you passionate about something? And that's why when we find other interesting links that are there between you and the other person.
All
Finally,
right.
I'll just close this part with,
Hmm.
from my side, whatever inputs I want to give is, let's just recall about any kind of connection or friendship you've ever built on a train journey.
Hmm.
On a train journey, when you're sitting next to the other person, agar baat start hoti hai, how it starts? That's it.
I'm super bad at this because I've never actually
You
done that.
never talk.
I don't talk.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that I talked to you back then. Otherwise, I don't talk to people in general, like
But
in
Ashish, it
train
was
or planes.
surprising that you came and spoke to me quite a bit in that trip.
Do you
And even
know
your
that
your friends
I
were
was going
saying,
to no, do you
yeah,
know that I was going to bunk that class? I was going to walk away. And when I was trying to walk away, no, one of the faculties actually caught me that, hey, where are you going? Because that was my usual. That was my usual in BARC training school. Bunk the class, study for ISRO. That's it. But for you, I got caught. And then I was sitting over there like casually in the last bench like this.
yeah.
What is she saying? And yeah, I know better. And then I stood up. No, I don't know better. I need to talk to her. So that's when I came to you for my personal
Yeah.
benefit. Like help me.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Hmm.
In the evening also you came when other students were like, he generally doesn't come out. He's quite like busy in his own world only. Pata nahi
Yeah.
aaj kaise aaya hai and all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's an example that when you see there's some value, you should go after it, go and talk. And in the train example or airport example, what I wanted to establish is you just start in the common ground, ki kahan ja rahe ho? And you see the answer that comes. So if you ask them on a Rajdhani from Mumbai to Delhi, ki, where are you
Yeah.
going? And they say, I'm going to Delhi. Then you immediately say, मैं भी. I'm also going to Delhi, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
And then the next question might be, okay, तो आप वहां पे रहते हैं या आप इधर रहते हैं? तो you're like, नहीं, हम यहाँ रहते हैं, मैं छुट्टी पे जा रहे हैं. अरे मैं भी. Which is, even I live in Bombay. Bombay में कहाँ रहते हो आप?
Hmm.
So they will be like Borivali, for example. So you'll be like,
Hmm.
अरे Borivali में तो मेरी आंटी के बहन की ना बेटा, they stay there. So
Yeah.
what are we doing is essentially to sum all this in pieces that we looked at is keep on linking. We link it, right?
Hmm.
Wherever there's a common link, वो चाहे आंटी के बहन का पति का बेटा होगा या माँ होगी, वो
Hmm.
बोरीवली में रहते हैं. We
Hmm.
still try to establish connection, which is common ground, right? We're trying to get a connection. So essentially, everything that the other person is saying, if you keep relating it back to your world, and
Hmm.
them, that okay, with me also, I had a similar experience. The more common ground, the more people tend to, and trust me, this is a small world after all. Have you heard of that concept? It says the small world
Yes,
concept, that
heard of it. Yeah.
there is only 6 degrees of separation between you and any other person in the world.
All right. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So essentially, there's lots of common that we have with each other, is what I want to say. Yeah.
Yes,
If
yes, yes.
only
I'm
you care to
certainly
find it.
no, no, no. I'm going to start doing it. But where were you getting at with that train conversation? Like, okay, let
So
us say
with the
that
train, yeah,
so what
yeah,
I've
go ahead.
seen is that I don't really do that, but my father, my mother, and elder generation used to do it, right? So it is a
Yeah.
new generation of earphones and everything in your cell phone that kind of prohibits you, and you don't really need others. Like, but you do need. It's just that you don't know it. So yeah, that is how it would start from like my parents and all. Like, where are you from? In Ranchi, where do you live? Where are you going? What is your purpose? Normal. You want to have some food like that. It goes like
Yeah.
that. Hmm.
And you'll be surprised if you ask your dad, he would be like, yeah, I made a couple of friends also. They were
Yes,
very nice
yes, yes.
people. Those ban gaye. So, and why that happened is because you find common ground. I'm establishing common ground between two people. That happens, and that's why I was saying small world, that there's a lot of commonality that exists between you and another person. Like between
Hmm.
you and me, also on another level, professional or work related stuff is there. But we both have one sibling, right?
Yeah.
Now that's a
Hmm.
common ground,
Hmm.
because of that
Yeah.
we can actually talk about something other
Hmm.
extra, or maybe bring us a little more aligned, or feel the distance is a little lesser, is what I'm saying. That
Hmm.
to reduce the discomfort, we need some commonality with the other person, and that exists only if we can find them. And then we naturally, like our parents never had any training on how to talk to new people, right? But if they
Yeah.
used to talk that time, they were compelled to, nahi to bore hoga pura 12 ghanta, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But one other thing which you said is very important, that today's world has become very silo, very individualistic, and
Hmm.
which is fine. But I think we must not forget the merit that
But
human beings.
surprisingly, on a contrast, we actually know more people because of the internet. We don't really
Yes,
have conversations, like we chat a lot, but we don't really have a conversation. So if only we can use this in a better manner, we can actually do better, right? In all of
yes,
those domains. Yeah. There are a lot of online platforms as well these days, like Clubhouse. You introduced it to me. It's a good platform. There are other platforms also popping up. I just saw that Spotify made their own copy of Clubhouse, something like that. I even downloaded it. I don't remember the name, but yeah, it is basically the same concept of you'll be having chat rooms. Yeah, it is called Green Room. Very creative.
green
So
room.
yeah, yeah. So you
Yeah,
can have conversations over there as well, and actually it is safer, especially for girls. I would say that you cannot talk to random people on the streets. It will be, maybe some places it will be very difficult, but
yeah,
online it is safer. And these days all the interviews are going online as well. Everything is going online. Recruitments are going, work is going online, your meetings are going online. So having this much experience, and that too for free, you can certainly utilize the online platforms,
yeah,
right? Yeah. All right.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think going on Clubhouse and all is a way now to do it, which is why do you think Clubhouse is still successful? If we are so busy in our world, no, we still need to engage with people. And I think that's a high recommendation from my side, that you must go and keep on building networks. And let's say it's not only for the benefit of feeling good and friends and all, but it is important in the long run for your career. It is extremely important that networks will give you dividend. And I'm talking
Yeah.
after a good almost 2 decades of working. In
Mm-hmm.
2 decades, I
Yeah.
can tell you that you would see the benefits coming. Like I said, it's small world. The industry is not so. Industry, you keep bumping into people, you meet people, you never know how.
Yeah.
And if you see LinkedIn's format, it shows you, right? LinkedIn shows you between you and another person, there's 2 links, etc. That is what it means. So I
Mm.
want to just really underline and emphasize this point for everyone is, I
Mm.
think, keep networking. And if you are too busy and like introvertish, then you need to put it in your agenda.
Mm-hmm.
To go on Clubhouse intentionally, make some networks, or wherever you go, I have to have that, in my
Mm-hmm.
kind of intentional to-do list, or However, you will have to find your own ways,
All right. Okay.
That's
This
it.
was great. This was much, much better than I expected. Obviously, I knew that this is going to be amazing. So informative. Like, I am changed from this point onwards. I do not know about the audience over here. I learned so many new things. I'm going to talk to every other person when I get to the airport next time. Certainly, I'm going to find more people, network with more people, and that is good for you in general. All right. Even if it does not turn out to be something which is very profitable, but knowing more people is always better. Sometimes it might help you like 10 years later or something like that. Lot of good
Sure.
insight. We talked about what we basically need to do. A lot of people train in this domain, just talk about things which are kind of obvious, but you gave the straight up solution of what you need to do, how you are going to get exactly what you want to get, and that is very, very possible. That's what you showed. It was a great time. We are certainly going to do a lot more. We can talk about other topics as well. And personally, being over here running podcasts, I say that you are great on camera. You're doing great. You are funny, continuously dropping a lot of knowledge. You should start your own podcast. That is what I will say. But think about it.
Really.
Look at your priorities. Yeah, it was a great time, certainly.
I mean, it's been such a pleasure, this conversation with you. I'm so overwhelmed and I'm in admiration of where you are today. It's really a moment for me to watch you doing this and see you at such a advanced level of skill set that you've developed, Ashish. So more power to you. You're doing great work for so many people out there. And yeah, keep going and at it. And I'm sure you're going to make a big difference in the world. Wish you the
All
best.
thanks to you. You will always remain my first teacher, and so far the only teacher when it comes to improving my spoken English and all that. And I am really happy that you took extra time in working on me, and that is great that I'm doing what I'm doing. And huge thanks to you for that. Certainly, we are going to
Yes.
do it again. Let us plan it. It is way too simple. We just have to turn on our cameras. We just have to talk. Editing is going to be pretty simple as well whenever you get
Wow.
time. And when it comes to people who try to get to you, like they are trying to reach you, what are the platforms where they can find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, but I'm really active on Instagram with
Hmm.
my posts and whatever I engage
Hmm. Hmm.
more over there. But yeah, LinkedIn
Hmm.
definitely.
And Clubhouse also, I think you are there. Do you
Clubhouse
do
definitely, and then
your own rooms and all? Do you do that?
yeah, I
Like you
do
start your
rooms
own? Okay.
myself. Yes, I do.
Hmm.
I focus on various type of topics. Like right now, I'm focusing on the evolution of digital in the current scenario. So I'm really enthusiastic about things like decentralization and
Hmm.
DeFi, which is decentralized finance, and where that is going. So I engage in a lot of those kind of rooms. But I
Hmm.
feel it's a great space to build your public speaking skills as well.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
also, I'm seeing the exposure is global on Clubhouse. And you meet really smart people. You're meeting people who are able to articulate what they want to say to like point, and
Hmm.
being able to respond to that and keep it succinct with whatever knowledge you have is really something even I am furthering in my journey. So I would recommend, yeah, for everyone, join me there if you like these topics as well. And
All right.
yeah, you can
Yeah,
have
to make it
discussions.
easy for you guys, I'm going to put all the links down in the description box. Just click on it and get over there. And that's about it. Thanks for being over here, Sarah, and thanks for everyone who are listening. Momentum is a weekly podcast. We are going to be over here every week. It is on careers, and other podcast Talk and Fire is also going on. Also weekly. Weekly, you get 2 podcasts, and that's about it. See you next time. Till then, bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, how was the experience all in all?
Very
I
good.
do not know why you
I
were so
don't know.
scared in the beginning. I
Oh
have no idea
God.
because you were so great. You
Yeah,
talked
no.
so well. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Arey, that's my
when
profession. I should talk
that
and
is what I was thinking. That is what I was thinking. That if anyone should be great at podcast, it should